Hello, my name is Dave Jones, and I have the privilege of serving as California's Insurance Commissioner. I want to welcome you to the Society of Financial Examiners Conference in Indian Wells. I'm sorry I couldn't join you personally, but thanks for the opportunity to speak to you by video. And thanks for all the work you do as insurance professionals, working to assist in the regulation of the insurance markets across the United States of America. I know you've got a action-filled conference with many important subjects that you'll be taking up, and I appreciate your willingness to come together to hone your skills and advance your profession. I thought what I might do is touch upon some subjects that are of keen interest to us here in California that might be of interest to you as well. The first of these subjects is cannabis insurance. In 2016, the voters of the state of California voted to legalize the adult recreational use of cannabis. So in early 2017, I established a cannabis insurance initiative to do everything we could to make sure that insurance is available for the newly legalized cannabis industry in California. My mission as Insurance Commissioner is insurance protection for all Californians. That includes consumer protection, protecting consumers and businesses in their interaction with insurance companies, but also insurance protection for all Californians means making sure insurance is available to meet all of Californians' insurance needs. And a new need is the newly legalized cannabis industry. So what have we done? I've personally convened meetings between insurance executives and cannabis business owners to give the insurance industry the opportunity to learn about and better understand and learn about the risk management and transparency of the cannabis industry. I've led tours of major cannabis facilities for insurance executives. I held the first in the nation public hearing to highlight gaps in insurance availability for the cannabis industry. And we're very excited that we have over 20 surplus lines writers now writing for various aspects of the risks faced by the cannabis industry. Our objective has also been to get admitted commercial carriers to write, and last year we were very excited to have announced the first admitted commercial carrier to write cannabis insurance in the state of California, Golden Bear Insurance. Since then, we've had a number of other companies come into the market, and very happily so. We've had a company offer a surety bond product. We've had other companies begin to offer lesser's risk program, this one offered by the California Mutual Insurance Company. As well, we have a filing from Continental Heritage, which provides for product liability and product recall coverage. And so we're seeing quite a few additional filings, and our hope is that we will see more. One area, too, that we're very excited about is we just recently approved a first-of-its-kind standardized policy form offered by the American Association of Insurance Services that will cover the property, loss of income, and liability exposure of eligible commercial cannabis businesses. They're a national advisory organization, and the availability of this standardized form will make it easier for more insurance companies to come into this market and offer cannabis insurance. So we're very excited about the progress that we've seen in this area, and it's an area where we as an insurance regulator can play an important role in making a market. Not only are we a regulator, but we're also responsible for making sure that markets function smoothly, and here we're making sure that there is a market availability of insurance for the cannabis industry. Another area I'd like to share with you a little bit about are the responses to the devastating wildfires in California in 2017. That was one of the worst series of fires on record in California. We had a total of 9,133 fires, according to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, including 5 of the 20 most destructive wildfires in the state's history. In October 2017, fires broke out in Northern California throughout Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino, Butte, Solano, Lake counties. 17 separate wildfires were reported at that time. Then, in addition, 29 wildfires ignited across Southern California in December 2017. These fires caused enormous property damage as well as significant loss of life. Our department has been very active in helping the fire survivors. We've had a chance to deploy our staff to all the local assistance centers where we've handled thousands of inquiries and assisted people with thousands of complaints and issues they have with their insurance companies. In addition, we've issued a series of bulletins to insurers directing them in various ways. One was a request that they expedite claims handling, which I appreciate their having complied with. Consumers have also had issues with the inventory requirements necessary to be filled out in order to get their personal contents coverage. We've asked the insurers to waive those. Most of them have. And now, of course, we're dealing with all the issues that arise in the context of claims associated with the loss of one's structure. Just to give you some order of magnitude here, we're talking about 53,000 claims and over $12.6 billion in insured losses. So this ranks upwards as one of the worst disasters collectively in California's history. In addition to the wildfires, though, some areas of California also were impacted by mudslides, particularly in Ventura and Santa Barbara counties, where fires ravaged the hillsides. The hillsides traditionally would have vegetation that would hold the soil in place. Well, after the fires came through, no more vegetation, the rain came, and the hillsides came down. Most insurance policies in California have a mudslide exclusion, but California also has a statutory and common law doctrine called the efficient proximate cause doctrine, which provides that if a covered peril causes an uncovered peril to damage your home and cause a loss, then the insurers have to cover it regardless of the fact that there's a specific exclusion for the uncovered peril. So I issued a notice to the insurers reminding them of this doctrine and pointing out that all of the available evidence is that the covered peril, in this case the fire, caused the uncovered peril, the mudslides, which in turn caused the losses to the homes, and it was my expectation that they would pay claims. And insurers have begun to pay those claims. So we're very pleased at our ability to help so many victims and survivors of these fires. That work continues, and it's a real testament to the professionalism of the men and women at the California Department of Insurance that we've been able to handle so many requests for assistance in such a productive and constructive way. Now, another area of interest for us, too, is climate change. And of course, climate change here in California is contributing, we believe, to a greater frequency and severity and unpredictability of catastrophic weather events, in particular fires. But climate change also poses risks more broadly to insurance companies. As the Insurance Commissioner for California, I've been pleased to lead a group of states in administering the NAIC's Climate Risk Disclosure Survey since 2011. We have surveyed companies with regard to what they're doing with regard to climate change and climate risk in their business operations, their reserving, and their underwriting. And we publish those results on our website so that regulators, investors, insurance companies, and the public can see what companies are doing. Based on those surveys, I came to a conclusion in late 2015 that one area where companies were not sufficiently focusing was in the area of their reserves and what's called climate-related financial risk. In particular, I became convinced that there was a risk that certain assets held by insurance companies could become stranded assets on their books to the extent that markets and governments move away from reliance on fossil fuels. In particular, the concern is that with regard to investments in coal, oil, and gas, and utilities that burn substantial amounts of those fossil fuels, if markets reduce the price of renewable energy sources that compete with those fossil fuels, if governments take a more restrictive approach in limiting the burning of those fuels, if countries decide, as they did collectively in Paris, to aggressively reduce the reliance on those fuels, that could have an impact on the value of those investments. And of course, one of our responsibilities as insurance regulators is to make sure insurance companies are investing in ways that will retain value so they ultimately have proceeds to pay future claims. So in early 2017, I announced a new climate risk carbon initiative. Specifically, I asked insurance companies to divest from thermal coal because of all the evidence that the risk of being a stranded asset was most acute with regard to thermal coal, and I also asked them to publish their assets and holdings with regard to oil, gas, coal, and utilities. More recently, we've launched another new initiative, and this involves a first-of-its-kind stress testing of insurance company portfolios based on different climate scenarios. We've engaged with 2 Degrees Investing, an organization that has partnered with European insurance regulators to look at the investment portfolios and reserves of those insurance companies in California with more than $100 million in premium annually, and have done stress testing of the insurance companies' reserves and investments based on different climate portfolios. We're making available these stress tests, company by company, available to those insurance companies that have more than $100 million in premium annually. We're sending the analysis directly to the top 100 companies in California. And it's our hope that the companies will use this as they're assessing climate-related financial risks. I think it's important to note that the G20 Financial Stability Board's task force on climate-related financial risks specifically recommended that the financial sector, including insurance companies, undertake this sort of scenario testing. So we're very pleased to be the first insurance regulator in the United States and internationally to undertake this sort of scenario testing and make it available to insurance companies. So those are some of the highlights of what we're working on here in California. And most of all, I want to thank you for being insurance professionals, for being insurance regulators, for taking so much time and effort to do this work, and for coming together through SOFE at this important conference. Thank you very, very much, and welcome to California.